Plaintiff Sierra Thomas says after she started dating the defendant, she discovered he had a criminal record. And his ex told Sierra that he was physically and mentally abusive. Sierra says she broke up with the defendant after he criticized her daughter's illness, and she's suing him for unpaid loans. Defendant Peter Bear admits that he made some mistakes with his ex, but says he was young and dumb at the time. Peter insists most of the money Sierra is suing for were gifts, and she's suing for more than he owes.
Start with you.
So I met Peter on New Year's Day from a mutual friend. Peter was supposed to be relocating to New Jersey due to whatever his situation he was trying to get out of. And then once that fell through, Peter and I continued to talk and get serious. Peter did address to me that he was a felon for trying to transport a Yukon, I believe it was, of marijuana from California back to Wisconsin for $20,000, but he ended up getting caught somewhere in between the two states.
Did he do time? Since you know, he may not want to discuss it.
I don't know how much time. I don't know too much of the details. He just told me pretty much brief stuff.
Okay.
He did continue to smoke, and I did warn him that he would eventually he's going to get caught, and he didn't listen to me. He just chalked it up that he's not going to
smoke what? Weed?
Weed, yeah. And he would smoke from sun up till
sundown. Tested?
Yeah.
Defendant Peter Bear is being sued by his ex-girlfriend, who claims after they started dating, she discovered Peter had a criminal record.
Go ahead.
So then we proceeded on. Father's Day, I knew Father's Day was coming up, and I was going to do something nice for Peter. And since he had mentioned that he had a daughter that he had not seen in a long time, that I would get him a flight to see his daughter. But I needed to get confirmation from the daughter's mother first. When I did end up contacting her, she actually had nothing good to say. Her answer was absolutely not.
Why? She didn't give you a why?
She said Peter was verbally abusive, physically abusive, had broken her nose. She had to have 2 plastic surgeries, called his daughter a and said that she wasn't his. He's made like racist comments to her husband. So because I didn't want to really get him, I know people can have bad relationship, bad breakups, so people talk bad. I just kind of left it as that.
Okay.
But then it got to the end where we went to the state fair with my parents, my mom and my 2 children, and Peter did nothing but complain. And when it got to the end of the night, I have a daughter who's got a bunch of medical issues, who's epileptic and hypoglycemic. She had made a sign for me and my mother that something was wrong. Sometimes it's not. Sometimes she does end up having problems. Well, we had jumped to her, and he had snapped on us and said, "There's nothing wrong with her." And I'm like, "You don't know."
In front of her?
In front of all of us, yeah. And she's fine. You're overreacting. No, not when you've seen.
She has a chronic condition.
Yeah.
And he says there's nothing wrong with her. Mm-hmm. What'd you do?
We had a discussion later on, and I provided him. I said, "You can't tell me that I'm overreactive," and I showed him numerous pictures of her being intubated with wires coming out, tests, and I'm like, I'm not overreacting. I'm a good mom, and I respond to my daughter as needed. Like, we were out in the sun all day. I have a reason to be worried as a parent.
So you were doing that on the way out. You were saying as you leave, let me just show you some pictures, but you got to go. Keep it going. But this is why we do need that attention to her, and this is why she does have a physical challenge. But you get your out of here. You escort him nicely, and then show him the pictures as he's exiting the door. Mm-hmm. What did happen, though? What did you do?
We went home. She did end up needing a bolus. She's got a feeding tube, so I did end up getting her a bolus that night. Just because I could tell in her face and just the reactions. I know her. Out of 8 surgeries that my daughter's had, I've been there since day one, all surgeries. It's just.
So what did you do to a man that did that to you and your daughter?
I pretty much
let it go, right?
I was done with the situation.
Oh, you go. That's why I'm listening to hear. 'Cause that's pretty, yeah, no, you can't do that. That's damaging. That could damage your child for years, if not permanently. People are looking at me and they don't think anything wrong with me, and I feel like something is wrong with me, but I was told by my mother's boyfriend there was nothing wrong with me, and so that means a lot of people might be looking at me thinking there's nothing wrong with me, and so I should act like there's nothing wrong with me, and when I do demonstrate that something's wrong with me, I get a flashback about what he was said about me. It affected her. So there you have it. Sir, you want to give me some background?
Yes, thank you, Your Honor. Now, I'd like to comment specifically on the two derogatory things that she said about me, one being racist.
Hey, go ahead.
And the other thing, the issue with her daughter. Now, I understand her daughter does have some issues, and I'm fully aware of those. She made me aware of those things, but the sudden screeching of her voice when she thinks something was happening, it just scares me because I guess I'm jumpy. And I did say, like, holy cow, like, geez, you can at least look at the child and see that she's all right. You didn't need to scream like that in a public place. I just got scared.
Wasn't about her condition. You weren't minimizing or diminishing the child's overall condition.
No, by
That's
any
the
means.
impression I'm getting from you.
No, he was.
All right, that's the difference. Those are two different things. All right, let's move along.
Defendant Peter Bear is being sued by his ex-girlfriend, who claims after they started dating, she discovered Peter had a criminal record.
What about this history of domestic violence she mentioned? Do you want to clean your
Yeah.
reputation up from that?
Yeah, I was a young, wild kid when I was young. I'm 34 now and did a lot of crazy stuff when I was a kid, and I can't take back the things that happened when I was a young kid. I did fight with my baby mama, my first one. Me and her have a good relationship now. In the future, I talk to my kid, I pay my child support, I send money whenever she needs it, and
Best
I
you
try
can
to...
do.
Huh?
That's the best you can do in trying to make up, I suppose. But there's some redemptive things you can do as well to your wild side. So that's what you need to figure out. How can you redeem yourself? Redeem yourself, meaning repair the damage one way or the other. Do your best you can. Sometimes you can't find a person or a institution or whatever to repair the damage, but that's when you have to help somebody outside of the person that you victimized earlier in life. You got to do a general thing, like I do. I got to do a general thing. I could never catch all those people I victimized, unfortunately. So that's why I give to community, inner city, youth, the demographic I damaged. I repair that demographic. So that's what I'm saying. If if there's no way to repair what you've done with your ex, then maybe you need to volunteer at Battered Women's Shelter or talk about how, go to church and in the men's ministry, talk to the men about, make sure you're not doing your woman right or how to avoid the things that you went into. That's just a suggestion I always like to make when people have had some obstacles they overcame. Use it to help other people. All right. And what do you do now what's your life?
Well,
It looks like you might have been in bad shape, she says, when you were borrowing money from her. What are you doing?
oh yes, I was in bad shape. She definitely helped me out of the dirt, and I'm still thankful
now?
for that. I'm doing good. I'm back in the electrical field. I took a hiatus for a couple years, and now I'm back in,
All right.
doing real good. It's definitely the
good.
field for me.
All right, ma'am. So tell me how he owes. Tell me what about the loans.
So the breakdown is on page 3. I loaned Peter money for his housing, his rent. I helped him pay for his rent multiple times. There was a computer part that
I
he
don't see anything that delineates the items. All I see is dates and monies. And they all say loans.
So those are the loans amount. All those loans were through the Facebook Messenger if he needed the cash right away, because we live 45 minutes
so they were all
apart.
cash loans?
No, they weren't all cash loans. They were through Facebook Messenger, so he could get them.
What that means, ma'am.
So the transfer from my bank account is linked up with my Facebook, and I would transfer the money to his Facebook, which he would get it in his bank account then.
All right, sir. What do you want to tell me?
The only thing that she borrowed money to me for and I agreed to pay her back for was the graphics card for my computer, and I did.
Yeah, I don't know anything about that. How much?
It's $2,500 part.
$2,500 when?
May. It was a May last in 2021.
May of 21.
Yeah.
$2,500.
Yes.
All right, and that's not listed here at all. In fact, there's not even a $2,500 charge.
Well, it might have been 27.
27. Okay. That's all you owe?
In my, that's the only thing I
You got to
agreed.
prove he owes more than 27. That's the only thing I know that he has spent the money on.
So in our messages, I would total up in our Facebook messages what Peter had borrowed. And in our messages on page,
And it was specific for what the loans were for?
they were not specific for how much the loans were for, but Peter addressed to me to keep a tally on how much the loans, or how much that he had
Did he
owed me in the
approve your
message.
tally at the end?
Correct.
Okay, that's what I want to see.
Defendant Peter Bear is being sued by his ex-girlfriend, who claims after they started dating, she discovered Peter had a criminal record.
Where is it where he approves, where he agrees with your tally?
If you look on page 25, it says 4,300, and he says, "What's that? How much I owe you?" And I said, "C," which
You
means
said that's which page?
that's 25.
Okay. 25, he says he owes how much?
He said, "What's that?"
Plaintiff to defendant. Payment complete. Plaintiff to defendant. Plaintiff to defendant, 4,300. What's that? How much I owe you?
That is the total amount of, at that point,
How much I owe you.
How
Okay.
much he owes me.
All right, and you haven't received any of that?
I have received some
Okay,
of
let's
this.
talk about what you haven't received, please.
I have not received the rest of the payment for the computer part that he had purchased, which is on my Discover card.
Is that the 2,500?
That's the 2,500.
Now we're
He-
getting specific. What
he-
else?
And then he also had charges against him because he was being sued for a car accident that he got on September 10th of 2020.
All right, and $1,000 for rent. He agreed to pay and failed to?
Correct.
What time frame? What months?
That was the, I paid him on the 28th, or sorry, 2/18, and I just told him when you get your tax returns to prepay me on that, and he
And he
didn't.
said yes?
Yes.
Sorry, what do you say to the rent?
I don't recall this ever happening.
You don't recall owing rent? You paid all the rent?
I don't recall her.
No, have you paid
Borrowing.
all the rent when you left? Was all your rent paid up in your opinion?
Yes.
Peter, don't lie.
Pardon? You have any evidence that it wasn't?
I'm sure you've helped me, but I don't know.
Peter, I've helped you multiple times. Please don't lie. I don't lie to him. Get this done and over with. Tell the truth.
What about
Tell
the
him.
$1,400 in insurance? What is that for?
The 1,400 on the 318 and the 319 go together. I split it up between two cards. The 1,400 on the 318 and the 319 were for the car accident that he got on September 10th, 2020.
What do
He
you
was
mean,
being-
the accident?
He got into
That's
an
the
accident.
deductible or something?
No, he got into an accident and was being sued. So the insurance is the Allstate that paid for the other
Allstate.
person's car
Okay, got it.
damage
Got
that
it.
was done.
All right, so these are lawsuits.
Yes, he was sued, and I found it out through his mail.
Sir, what do you say to that?
That did happen.
You owe her for that? You agreed to repay?
Yes, I did agree to prepay.
All right. And the $2,500 computer part I see on here.
I did pay $2,500 for the computer part that he had gotten.
And he agreed to pay?
Yes, he did.
All right. And sir, what do you say to that?
I did agree.
All right. Judgment for the plaintiff. Have a good day.
You should have told him the truth. You know I have all the bank statements saying that it is. You know I kept record, and you told me to keep record on Facebook. corresponding with my bank statements.
You know I would have rightfully given you all the money that you want. It's your decision. You did this to yourself, so have fun.
So you just openly admitted that you owe me all that money?
No, I'm not gonna. I didn't admit
You
that
just
I owe
did.
you. I owe you portions, and that's exactly what I told the judge.